here this morning, and she's going to run a workshop for us, and it will be exciting because it was still in the morning session. Right, rip into it.
I hope you all feel quite enthusiastic about our micromobility proposal. So what I'm trying to put in front of you today, we've been approached by a private company that they want to put e-scooters back into Napier. So I'll tell you all about the proposal and also look at some of the lessons learnt from our last e-scooter. It was a trial in Napier before Beam withdrew. And then I'd really want to take your direction if there's other things that we can do to make sure that this trial is successful for our community. We'll just preface here how a e-scooter operator would come into Napier. They'd operate under a miscellaneous permit, and so that's about $135 filing fee a year, and then just a license to operate. So it's not a huge money maker for council by any means, but we're here as an enabler. We're not here to manage that activity. They'd be managing their activity. Those permits to operate, they're just an operational approval, but I really do want this table to tell me feedback. What do you want in that permit to make it successful? And also, I'm really happy if you want to jump in with questions at any time. I don't mind it at all. So the proposal is by Jolt Scooters. They are relatively new. They're set up in about 4 different cities throughout New Zealand. We've got New Plymouth, Upper Hutt, Lower Hutt, and Dunedin. I think they're just about to enter Selwyn too. Their proposal for us is to come in for 6 months, see how it goes. A maximum of 75 e-scooters across the city. For their commercial viability, they just want to do a trial first, and then if it works for them, they would want to pursue a 3-year sole operator contract with Napier City Council. As part of the previous e-scooter, we developed a code of practice for micromobility. They'd have to abide by this. We do want to make a few tweaks to that code of practice as well, and that's more around if they aren't performing, we can cancel the contract. If they haven't met their safety obligations, NCC can step in but charge them back as well. So there's just some tidying up of loose ends. Cool. I thought this one was quite interesting from the Jolt proposal. It's all around how they can manage the scooters. This is their first shot at what they think should be exclusion zones, slow zones, no parking zones. From the outset, we've thought that's pretty consistent. There's a few tweaks we would like to make, and then we'd also want to make sure in the permit that they would respond to requests for changes too. So I can circulate this kind of geo-fenced parameters later if you feel like we may be missing some or we've been too onerous in that. Jolt have been really flexible in their thinking with us. So lessons learnt from last time. So there was Beam. They were here for about 2 years. I've looked at the complaints or feedback that we received through our service request portal. Over 2 years, we only received 6 pieces of feedback. And so I think that's probably doesn't quite reflect maybe the feedback that this room might have heard or the feedback that was put through Hawke's Bay today. But our on-record feedback was 6 complaints.
We're on Napier News.
Yeah, unfortunately we don't do the audit of Napier News around what feedback we got. There was a really strong undercurrent in the feedback around they don't oppose e-scooters, they just want it to be managed better. And it was a lot to do with parking in unsafe locations or parking where they block the footpath for other pedestrians to utilise. Again, we can amend our code of practice to say actually you can't park where there's a divot in the footpath for people to cross the road, or we can identify parking locations. And like I said, I also want to have NCC's ability to step in and remove scooters if they haven't removed them in 24 hours. Yes, so parking behaviour, safe behaviour from riders. Rider behaviour is a really difficult one, right? Like what we can control is like where you can operate. What the e-scooter provider, Jolt, would control is how people use these scooters. That speed, do they use helmets? Are they going on the right side of the footpath? Are they on footpaths or are they on cycle lanes? There's a weird rule with cycle lanes at the moment. E-scooters aren't supposed to be in cycle lanes. They can go on the road or they can go on the footpath, not on the cycle lane, which is a nationwide confusion. The other piece of feedback were people asking around, well, what's council's control of these e-scooter contracts? Honestly, I come back to would be an enabler for them to manage their contract. We would have some KPIs that we want them to achieve in their trial before they continue. But apart from that, it's quite a hands-off relationship. Oh, this is my last slide. I told you it'd be really swift. Is there anything that you think that we could have learnt from our last e-scooters that we could incorporate into this? Do we want e-scooters in Napier? I know from my point of view, I think micromobility is really important. Napier's well set up. We're flat. It's really good for those 2 kilometre radius quick transport routes. I think we can enable someone else to deliver on this, but I'd really welcome your feedback. Do you want it? Do you want anything to change?
On a couple of questions. Thanks for presenting as well. The first one is, I understand that the previous operator were understating the actual usage or the saturation in the market, the actual number of scooters out there. So how can we ensure that they're actually using 35 scooters and not a lot more? And my second question is, if there is a 24-hour stationary scooter that needs to be removed and it has to be done by council, is that at cost to council, or can we recover that cost off the operator?
Yeah, I'll jump on your second one because it's a really easy answer. We've proposed cost recovery in the contract with them. If we have to step in after 24 hours, we'll be charging them back $400 per scooter that we move, and that's based on labour and then storage incurred afterwards. Limitation on numbers, that's a really interesting one because that's ultimately why the last provider pulled out New Zealand altogether. There's no record of Napier incurring that problem with Beam telling us they've got 100 but then put 200 out. That was a Wellington City Council one. It was a really big deal. It was a really big issue. What we have asked for in the code of practice, we'd want reporting to be available at any time that council requests it. And so we've got those reporting parameters around that scooter ID, where it is, how long it's sat there, what's the usage on it. Because we'd also want to know how many people are using these micromobility options. Because if lots of people are using it, how do we make it better for our community too? So we would be requesting reporting, and I'd welcome any other way that you'd see we could control it.
Yeah.
Councillor Crystal.
Thank you. I really recommend have a look at their website. I'm on there now. So they do say never ride on the sidewalk if their cycle lanes use them. So this is on their website. Enjoy your ride, and they basically say once your ride is complete, step off the vehicle, leave it in an orderly position, and you have to park them in a designated parking bay. Otherwise, they can't press the end of ride, and they will still be being charged, which is a really good feature. Yeah. Because one of the issues I used to see when I lived in Napier South was them in the creek, down George's Drive or around the creek and things like that. So whether the people ones didn't have that, I don't know, but that was quite interesting. Yeah. My other question is, how fast can they go when they're not in the limited zone? Does it say?
Yeah, so we can propose the limitations.
Yeah.
The current one is 25k an hour, and then it reduces in orange zones to 15, and then there's another zone to 5. So basically an idle.
Yeah.
Councillor Simpson.
Yeah, I just want to query the national policy position on it. So what's happening nationally around defining where these things should and should not be operated, i.e. cycle lanes or footpaths, because I think at the end of the day that has to provide us a level of security around, well, what's the national think? Because if we're a tourist destination, then people are coming from other cities to our place, and if the rules are inconsistent, then it creates confusion around footpaths versus cycle lanes versus roadways versus where they should be parked and where they shouldn't be parked. So I think at the end of the day what we should be promoting is a national policy statement around operation of these mobility, these micro transport devices, because that's how we tidy the act up. But yeah, certainly last time the scooters were left on their sides, sitting across footpaths, it wasn't a pretty look, and I think that's why we really need to look at some national consistency around expectations.
To answer that one, I don't know off the top of my head the national policy on it. I'll find out and circulate it later.
But I mean, surely we could be putting a question to LGNZ to say, as a national organisation, can we look at promoting some nationalised standards around this? That's what LGNZ is for.
Councillor Morley.
Just on the speed limits, is that a voluntary thing or is it through GPS mapping and tracking?
So the limitations on when you progressively go slower, it's a GPS.
Oh, great.
data.
Yep.
I used to use the Beam one sometimes, and they did adjust the areas because I used to be able to park the scooter right outside my house, and then it started being just on the main roads like Taradale Road, which was good, and even like on the Quay, you had to pick it up from Bridge Hyderabad Road, the main roads,
I wonder if that's maybe what I'm largely hearing is the parking being the main problem. If we put some real strong, hey, you can park here but not here from our roading network point of view, is that going to resolve? Do you think our communities, there wasn't that much pushback, but concerns?
And maybe the hot spots where people actually frequent, like I would have loved to have been able to still grab one from West Quay, like obviously it's a working area so it may not be practical, but where our tourists and where people are going in the weekends, because then they're likely to be used, the way that they are intended to be there for.
I'll for sure take that feedback and I can park them.
I think in Napier it would be more for leisure use rather than people going every day to work and things like that. Just because of we're in a small little town.
They're too expensive. What are you saying?
Could be for work now. It could be for work now, potentially with parking in town and also petrol.
Because people can't afford to buy them.
Love them.
Put a parking lot outside Richard's place.
I used to have a few of them parked outside my place, actually.
Did you leave them there?
No, they went too slow, those ones. Councillor Crown, then Councillor Morley.
Just to let you know, Ministry of Transport is working with councils in Waka Kotahi to develop best practice guidance for the sector at the moment. So there you go. It only commenced recently though, and it will cover best practice approaches to micromobility policies. So there will be something for us to fall back on.
Yeah, and just, I think, what's her name, Catherine Wedd in Hastings has pulled out of the biscuit tin about scooters being able to use cycle lanes into the future.
She has.
So we'll see what else gets joined in with that.
Thanks very much. I suppose it's already all been mentioned. Obviously the parking's an issue, users are an issue, but from the disability community, it was definitely the parking. But I mean, if I look at my use I've gone over to say Maroochydore on the Gold Coast, Sunshine Coast, and I looked at the parking thing, and that meant it wasn't viable for me because I couldn't leave the scooter where I actually wanted to use it. So then I actually used other things instead. So it's like anything, you can restrict it, but then is it usable? So I think the idea that Beam had, where they had, if you leave them in certain areas, you get a discount or you get some cash back. That probably wasn't too bad because obviously where I live, just down Harold Holt there was the at the Wycliffe shops there was one there that if you parked it there, you got like 50 cents or $1 off your trip.
These guys have that too, I
Yeah,
think.
so I think that's probably something that's to try and sort that behaviour. But just from a visual perspective and what I saw, and again, I don't have the stats and whether or not you got any accurate stats from Beam at all, but it was almost like it went a hiss and a roar, you saw them everywhere, and then all of a sudden you didn't really see them very much. And I actually think that some of the things my colleagues have said about, yes, we're in a fuel crisis, but actually if you rode one of those into town, it wasn't actually that cheap. So yeah, it actually ended up being quite an expensive exercise, especially if you limit the speed of them, you're going slower. So, but yeah, I don't necessarily oppose the idea, it's just, there's so many different aspects of it, that you just can't get right. You're always going to annoy someone. Hey, that's what we do. No, you just can't get it right all the time.
I wonder if the table would be open if we were to roll this out, really invite feedback during the 6-month trial as well,
Yeah.
and we would support Jolt in that. If we really want this kind of activity here, maybe we could have a portal that we collect information, and then because that will have the ability to push and pull on the contract terms too.
Yeah.
Councillor Crown and then Shy.
Thank you. Yeah, no, like, I think the 6-month thing is perfect, right? Because it does give us an out. If we need an out, the market will decide if it's affordable, you know, like all that stuff. So as long as we're, I guess, building and using the knowledge that we got from the last time round, you know, especially around the parking stuff, and it sounds like as a supplier, they're aware of that stuff as well, then I don't see any harm in having another offering or, you know, something here for people to try and see how it works for us. Yeah. And the portal, having that feedback portal, I think is a really sensible idea. Yeah.
I just had a question around just the communications back to the community around it being a trial, but also, I guess, for some that would really utilise it as well, that would want to make it work. So I think there's just some areas of potential to target those that will see this as an asset that would help them, that may not have a car, that don't like catching public transport. Just how will that be communicated?
I think gently, right? Like we've got a perfect comms team that can help
Yeah,
us with
cool.
that messaging.
Education.
Rhonda?
I know when the purple ones came, my comment from my then, I don't know, 20-something, 21, 20-year-old son was, oh, finally something cool in Napier. So there is that perspective of that youth having, you know, they went out and all of them would be go into town on them. And
Drunken charge all the way home.
this is recorded, but because I can't tell you what the story is. But but them leaving it outside their flat and stuff was not cool. Whereas I think if they had to park them somewhere, but you need enough parking spaces so it becomes user friendly, but not so you can just go and leave them lying down the street. So there's kind of that balance. But yeah, it is, the kids love them, and tourists.
Yeah, I'd say that the parents love them too because they don't have to go and pick their kids up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they do play a role. And also, speaking to some guys the other day, he said, oh, we just went on holiday in Christchurch and we just jumped on scooters from our hotel into town.
Yeah. I do that when
So-
I'm in Christchurch.
Yeah.
Not home though.
But yeah, I think that let's not overcook it. Let these guys have a fair shot at it. They do work in other cities. They work here. The reason these guys jumped is because probably their Auckland and Wellington contracts took them out of the game and out of the market because they were breaking the rules, so they just picked up and left. I'm guessing they were still here because they were viable. So until they broke some rules. Yeah. But I've spoken to the CE. He's a young guy. He's 23, trying to make it happen. So if we're a tourist destination and enabling council, we'll see how this all bounces.
It's really helpful. I'll
Yeah.
try to amend this into the operating contract and then let you know around the trial.
Councillor Morley.
Me or
Final question. Where they're looking at setting up shop, I'm just thinking this could be a great time to start talking to them about integration with their transport hub.
Yeah. In terms of setting up shop,
keep it
it's a
away.
digital platform, but surely they'll have to have,
They'll have a physical shop.
local contractors that will help with the maintenance. I can ask, because, yeah, that sounds great. Or even if we have a designated parking spot by our transport hub as well.
Thanks.
Thanks, everyone.
Did you hear me say that?
Connor.
It's 10 minutes.
How you feeling?
Back.
You look great. You look